AITA for refusing to apologize for my siblings for being the reason we went into foster care. So when I, 27M, was 14, I had reached a breaking point within my family. My parents had me and my 3 younger siblings who at the time were 11, 10 and 8. The word parent does not describe them at all. They were never around. They expected me to chip in and be the oldest, which in my parents' language meant they expected me to be independent and raise my siblings for them. They did not provide enough food for us. They would go away for days at a time and leave us without anyone looking out for us. My parents would say I could get a job if we wanted more food or clothes or anything. It started when I was really young and my siblings would have nightmares and our parents would send them to me. It then turned into a young version of me waking my sister to school every day without either parent, and we didn't get the bus either. Around the time I got CPS involved, my siblings all became more clingy with me and had more expectations for what they wanted life to be like, and they wanted me to take care of them. That was the dynamic our parents set up for us, and the more conscious my siblings got about what we lacked compared to kids our ages, the more they expected me to do more. Most nights were a fight where they wanted to sleep in my room with me and I wanted space. They didn't want to learn how to do some stuff for themselves. They wanted me to do it. They wanted me to baby them. My youngest sibling called me dad a couple of times and I told them to stop. It upset them, but I was already dealing with so much stress. My best friend's aunt is a social worker and I knew that. So one day I didn't go home after school and I went to his house and asked him to help me talk to his aunt. From there we went to her and I told her everything about my parents' lack of care for us and my siblings' overattachment to me and how I was starting to hate everyone because I didn't want to be a dad. I told her to come to our house and she saw the bad conditions for herself. From there she made some calls and another social worker was called out and we were removed from the home. It wasn't as fast as that, but to sum it up, I was placed with my best friend's family and my siblings went to a different foster home. The separation was seen as being in my best interest and I was so glad for it. We never got placed together after that and our parents never tried to get us back. I did make contact twice, but my siblings still expected me to take over the role our parents should have filled and I wouldn't and couldn't do it. Now we're all adults and we aged out of foster care. We got back in touch recently and they are so pissed that I was the one to report our parents. They said staying together with me looking after them would have been better than foster care and they demanded an apology. I told them I couldn't apologize for something I don't regret. They called me an ass and said I should be ashamed of myself. AITA? NTA, you have nothing to apologize for. Now we're all adults and we aged out of foster care. We got back in touch recently and they are so pissed that I was the one to report our parents. They said staying together with me looking after them would have been better than foster care and they demanded an apology. I told them I couldn't apologize for something I don't regret. They called me an ass and said I should be ashamed of myself. They either can't or won't understand that it would have been impossible for you to continue the way you were going. NTA. It is absolutely unreasonable and unfair for your parents and your siblings to expect a 14-year-old child to take on that responsibility. It's a very sad state of affairs. But you were entitled to have a childhood. It's your parents that were tough for shirking their responsibilities to all of you. NTA. You were a child who was put in an impossible situation by your neglectful parents. Your siblings' expectations of you were a result of the unhealthy dynamic your parents created. And it was not your responsibility to take on a parental role for them. You made a brave decision to seek help and protect yourself and your siblings from an unsafe environment. Your siblings may have mixed feelings about their experiences in foster care. But it's not fair for them to blame you for the situation. You were all victims of your parents' neglect. And you did your best to cope with the circumstances. You did what you thought was best at the time. And you don't need to apologize for trying to protect yourself and your siblings. NTA. It's not fair of them to demand you sacrifice yourself to parent them. If they want an apology, they need to go to their actual parents. Totally NTA. I am so sorry for what your parents did to you all. You're not the reason your siblings went to foster care. Your parents are. Your siblings may come to realize that as they get a bit older. And counseling might help speed that up. Best of luck. You aren't responsible of this. Your parents are. It doesn't matter you did the report. You were being parentificated and neglected. Your siblings should get someone, not you, to explain them what parentification is and how it harmed you in your childhood. NTA. I was the parentified oldest sibling. I left at 17. My youngest brother ended up in foster care within a year of me leaving. I'm now 51. My brother is 42. He still blames me for leaving. He doesn't understand that I had to save myself. I wasn't his parent. I couldn't be the one that saved him. You were drowning and they were all holding on to you. If you hadn't gotten help, you all would have gone under. It was untenable. By appealing to the aunt, social worker, you saved them. I'm sorry they don't see that. Staying together with you looking after them would have been better than foster care for them. But what about you? What about what was best for you? It's completely unreasonable to expect your 14-year-old brother miss out on his life and childhood completely to care for 3 minor siblings. Are they really so selfish that they can't see that, even as adults? That's mind-blowing. You don't owe them an apology. You didn't do anything wrong. Your parents did. Tell your siblings to go seek an apology from them. NTA. NTA. I hope someday they realize that it wasn't supposed to be your place to raise them. I get they wanted security and stability, as all children, including you, should have that. Wow op. I'm just so sorry you went through this. I hope you are all seeking therapy to work through these issues. Your parents are garbage and you all deserve so much better. You did what you had to do. Take care of. You probably need to let them go. You did end up in a better place. It sounds like they didn't, or don't think they did. But they also are probably not capable of understanding you were too young and not able to magic up what they wanted. The separation was seen as being in my best interest. That's because it was. NTA. With people who insist on having kids and then abandon them or neglect them. There is no good answer or solution. There was no happy ending here. They may never understand what you went through. You were just a child and were forced into an impossible position by the very people who were supposed to be there for you. I'm so sorry for what you went through. I'm sorry for your siblings for what they went through. I'm sorry they are putting the blame squarely on you instead of on your parents where it belongs. I'm sorry they think you should have sacrificed more for them. It was never your responsibility to keep them together. You were a child in a desperate situation. None of it is fair. I hope one day they come to understand that you did the best you could. The adults who abandoned you all are the true assholes. You are NTA. NTA. It's your parents' fault y'all ended up in foster care. They need to go to therapy to work on directing their anger towards the correct party. NTA. I don't know what foster care was like for your siblings. Maybe it was terrible. Maybe it was great. But you didn't do anything wrong. You were a kid. You were being neglected. As were your siblings. You were being emotionally abused as well. You did what you needed to do. For all of you, your siblings' attachment to you and their expectation that you would do everything wasn't healthy for anyone. To be honest, it sounds like your siblings still expect you to be dad to them. Still expect you to do everything for them. And they're not actually angry about you getting social workers involved. They're angry specifically that you were separated from them. That you were no longer doing everything for them and being their dad. You were never their dad. You were their big brother. You were supposed to be someone they could talk to. Sure, be their friend even, but nothing more than that. It was never your job or obligation to raise and provide for your siblings. You did the right thing for everyone. Not just you. Never apologize for that. If your siblings keep pushing, tell them straight, I'm your brother, not your father. None of that was ever on me. And no one should have expected me to do that. Least of all my siblings or parents. I know I did the right thing for all of us. And I hope one day you can see that. And see me as the brother I was always supposed to be. Instead of this twisted version of a parent. Until then, I think it's best we go back to not having contact. Contact me when you've grown up. Then leave, hang up, whatever, and block them. You've come a long way from the abuse you suffered when you were younger. Don't let your siblings take you back there. NTA. If you don't mind me asking, whatever came of your parents? Blaming you for your parents' utter lack of care is not logical. It's your absentee parents who are responsible for what happened. Period. We got back in touch recently and they are so pissed that I was the one to report our parents. They said staying together with me looking after them would have been better than foster care and they demanded an apology. Better for them. But what about you? Didn't you get a say in being forced to parent? NTA. Don't apologize. You did the right thing. They are being selfish and making those statements on purely their own needs and wants, without taking you, as an individual with your own needs and desires, into account. Tell them that if they would like to assign blame to those at fault, to go find the trash parents that couldn't be bothered to raise them and keep them. And tell them to get those trash humans to apologize. And when they do, they can come back to you, hat in hand, and apologize to you. Until then, peace out, Cub Scout. NTA. All the very best for you, my friend. It sounds like you have a good heart, no matter what your sibs say. NTA. Your parents were the reason your siblings went into foster care. A 14-year-old is not prepared to be a parent. You did your best. And in time I hope they realize this. Any apologies should come directly from your parents. If they're still alive. They should be pissed at the parents.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.